This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.
In the headlines, we begin with a stark defense from Washington over the Middle East strikes. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the actions were necessary to prevent Iran from reaching a zone of immunity and holding the world hostage to its nuclear ambitions. Meanwhile, Washington defends its moves. France breaks ranks. President Emmanuel Macron deployed the aircraft carrier Charles de Gaulle to the Mediterranean and called the strikes against Iran a violation of international law. Beyond the war, former President Bill Clinton denies knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. Testifying before Congress, Clinton said he never witnessed improper behavior during his limited contact with the financier. From diplomacy to economics, Trump threatens to cut trade over NATO spending. At a meeting with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, he also criticized British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, demanding European allies boost defense contributions or face repercussions. Meanwhile, the Senate vows strict oversight of the record education budget. Lawmakers demanded concrete results and clear action plans, promising no funds would go to waste. And finally, the Middle East conflict hits professional sports. An ATP challenger in the UAE was cancelled after drone strikes near oil refineries sparked a massive fire, forcing organizers to scrap the event for safety. I'm Prince Tripoli. Newsline World starts now. For our first story, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has fiercely denied reports that Israeli intentions forced President Trump's hand into the current conflict. He asserted that decision to strike first was a necessary measure to prevent Iran from reaching what was called as the zone of immunity that would hold the world hostage to nuclear ambitions. Almar Fusuelo has the details.
As the Middle East remains engulfed in high-intensity combat, Secretary of State Marco Rubio clarified that while Washington was aware of Israeli plans, Operation Roaring Lion was an independent American determination. Rubio argued that waiting another year would have allowed Tehran to amass enough drones and missiles to become untouchable, effectively protecting their path to nuclear weapon. The secretary used the term unleash Xiang, a Cold War-era slang for applying maximum, overwhelming force to describe the next phase of the campaign. He warned that the world is about to see a significant change in the scope and intensity of the airstrikes.
We're going to unleash Chang on these people in the next few hours and days. You're going to really begin to perceive a change in the scope and in the intensity of these attacks as, frankly, the two most powerful air forces in the world take apart this terroristic regime and defang it and take away its ability to threaten its neighbors or hide behind a zone of immunity that allows them to develop their nuclear ambitions.
Rubio outlined 4 specific objectives currently being executed by CENTCOM and the Department of War: the systematic destruction of Iran's missile belt, their launchers, their manufacturing capabilities, and the total neutralization of the Iranian Navy. He emphasized that President Trump's doctrine is to go first to ensure the American troops and allies do not absorb a devastating initial blow from a regime he described as being run by religious fanatics.
The bottom line is this: the president determined we were not going to get hit first. It's that simple, guys. We are not going to put Americans' troops in harm's way. If you tell the president of the United States that if we don't go first, we're going to have more people killed and more people injured, the president's going to go first.
According to the latest briefings, the operation is reportedly on or ahead of schedule. Reporting from Newsline World, Almar Fusuelo, SMNI News.
The crisis in Lebanon has reached a breaking point as thousands of families flee a wave of intensive Israeli airstrikes targeting the south and Beirut suburbs. After the assassination of Iran's supreme leader, Hezbollah has launched retaliatory rocket barrages, triggering a massive Israeli counteroffensive under Operation Roaring Lion. Jane Kudnita has the details.
Thick black smoke is hanging over the skyline of Sidon as Israeli fighter jets struck a building in the Bustan al-Kabir neighborhood. The strike, which hit an Islamic group center, followed an urgent evacuation warning from the Israeli military, which claims Hezbollah is attempting to rebuild its military infrastructure in the area. In nearby Tyre, similar warnings have sent residents into a panic. Footage shows the moment of impact in Sidon, with flames engulfing warehouses as rescue crews struggle to manage the destruction. This marks the second day of a sharp escalation that began after Hezbollah launched a drone swarm and precision rockets at Israel's Mishmar HaKarmel missile defense site. The human toll is severe. More than 6,000 people are crammed into 14 shelters across Sidon alone, and many are already full. Schools have been turned into makeshift emergency housing, with families sleeping in classrooms and corridors after journeys of up to 15 hours. While some seek refuge within Lebanon, others have begun crossing the border into neighboring Syria, fearing that the current Operation Roaring Lion is a precursor to a full-scale ground invasion. As the exchange of fire continues, the Lebanese government is struggling to cope. And with the Strait of Hormuz effectively closed and regional tensions at an all-time high, the people of southern Lebanon find themselves once again caught in the crossfire of a rapidly widening regional war. This has been Jane Cogniter, Global Citizen Correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
France is repositioning its flagship aircraft carrier to the Mediterranean as President Emmanuel Macron breaks with Washington, calling the strikes against Iran a violation of international law. Carlo de la Peña has the details.
Addressing the nation on Tuesday night, President Emmanuel Macron confirmed a massive shift in France's military posture. The nuclear-powered aircraft carrier Charles de Gaulle, along with its full strike group and frigate escort, has been diverted from NATO exercises in the Baltic to the Mediterranean. The move comes after a series of escalations, including an Iranian drone strike on a French naval hangar in Abu Dhabi and a missile strike on a British airbase in Cyprus. Macron blamed Iran for harboring nuclear ambitions and financing regional terror, but he drew a clear line over the Allied response.
Les États-Unis d'Amérique et Israël ont décidé de lancer des opérations militaires. Elles ont été conduites en dehors du droit international, ce que nous ne pouvons pas approuver. Dans ce contexte, avec l'Allemagne et le Royaume-Uni, nous avons clairement dit qu'un arrêt au plus vite des frappes est souhaitable et qu'une paix durable dans la région ne se fera que par la reprise de négociations diplomatiques.
Beyond diplomacy, France is using its military forces to safeguard its strategic interests. Macron confirmed that French Rafale jets and air defense systems have already intercepted multiple drones over the airspace of Gulf allies, including Qatar and the UAE. The president also announced the deployment of the frigate Languedoc to Cyprus to bolster EU defenses. A primary focus of the new French-led coalition is the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, which Macron noted is currently effectively closed, paralyzing 20% of the world's oil and gas transit.
Nous sommes à l'initiative pour bâtir une coalition afin de réunir les moyens, y compris militaires, pour reprendre et sécuriser le trafic dans ces voies maritimes essentielles à l'économie mondiale. C'est d'ailleurs ce que nous avons su faire il y a plusieurs mois en mer Rouge. C'est ce que nous devons faire aujourd'hui là-bas. Face à cette situation instable, aux incertitudes des jours à venir, j'ai donné ordre que le porte-avions Charles de Gaulle, ses moyens aériens, son escorte de frégates fassent route vers la Méditerranée.
As the war spreads into Lebanon, where Macron described Hezbollah's strikes on Israel as a grave error, France is also preparing for the emergency repatriation of its citizens. The first 2 evacuation flights are expected to arrive in Paris tonight. Macron has raised the domestic Sentinel security operation to its highest level. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Carlo de la Peña, SMNI News.
U.S. stocks stumbled sharply as investors reacted to escalating tensions in the Middle East, fueling fears of a prolonged regional conflict that could disrupt global markets and energy supplies. Major indexes on Wall Street closed significantly lower amid heightened uncertainty over geopolitical developments in the Middle East. Traders expressed concern that a sustained conflict could drive up oil prices, strain global supply chains, and further complicate the inflation outlook. The Dow Jones Industrial Average flew steeply, while the S&P 500 and the tech-heavy Nasdaq Composite also posted notable losses. Energy stocks fluctuated as crude prices spiked on fears of potential supply disruptions across the region. Market analysts say investors are shifting towards safer assets, with increased demand for government bonds and gold. Concretes are mounting that prolonged instability could dampen global economic growth and pressure corporate earnings in the months ahead. Financial experts warn that volatility may persist as traders closely monitor diplomatic developments and any signs of further military escalation. For now, markets remain on edge, with investors bracing for counted uncertainty as the situation in the Middle East unfolds. Up next, Trump threatens to cut trade over the NATO spending. At a meeting with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, he also criticized British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, demanding European allies boost defense contributions or face repercussions. Beyond the war, former President Bill Clinton denies knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. Testifying before Congress, Clinton said he never witnessed improper behavior during his limited contact with the financier. More news when Newsline World returns.
Madalas ka bang napapasobra sa pag-scroll sa phone mo kahit puro masasamang balita ang nakikita mo? Isipin mo ito. Nakahiga ka na sa kama. Nagche-check lang ng phone bago matulog. Tapos, hindi mo na malayan. Ilang oras ka na palang nagbabasa at nanonood ng mga balita tungkol sa digmaan, sakuna, politika, at lahat ng masasamang nangyayari sa mundo. Nakakaramdam ka na ng kaba at pagod. Pero tuloy mo pa rin ang scroll mo. Ang tawag dyan ay doom scrolling. Ito ang habit ng paulit-ulit na pagtingin sa mga negatibo o nakaka-depress na content tulad ng digmaan, krimen o problema sa mundo. Nakaka-stress pero hindi mo pa rin mapigilan. Ayon sa isang pag-aaral ng Texas Tech University, ang sobrang konsumo ng masasamang balita ay nauugnay sa pagtaas ng stress, anxiety at pisikal na sintomas gaya ng pagkapagod at sakit ng ulo. Ayon naman sa Harvard Health, ang doom scrolling ay nagpapataas ng fight or flight hormones tulad ng cortisol at adrenaline na nakakapagpabigat ng isip at katawan. Nakakaapekto ito sa iyong mood, tulog at maging sa mental at physical health mo. At kapag naman puro memes at random na content ang pinapanood mo ng sunod-sunod hanggang sa mawalan ka na ng gana na mag-isip at gumawa ng iba pang gawain, ang tawag naman dyan ay brain rot. Sa Gen Z at tinatawag na internet culture, ang brain rot ay overconsumption o sobrang tagal na panonood ng paulit-ulit, mababaw, magulo o walang saysay na content online hanggang sa parang manhid na ang utak mo. Kapag nasobrahan, syempre, nakakasama. Nawawalan ka na ng focus, nawawala ang motivation, hirap mag-isip ng malalim, parang lutang o foggy ang utak. Masaya sa simula, pero kapag sobra, napapagod ang isip mo. Nahihirapang mag-concentrate at parang lutang. Mas delikado pa ito sa mga bata dahil ang utak nila ay nasa proseso pa ng pag-develop. Kaya mas malakas ang epekto ng doom scrolling at brain rot sa kanila. Maaaring makaapekto sa pag-aaral, pag-iisip at pakikitungo sa iba. Ang higit sa 4 na oras ng screen time araw-araw sa mga kabataan ay konektado sa 35 to 88% na mas mataas na posibilidad ng depresyon, anxiety at stress. Base ito sa isang malawakang pag-aaral sa Brazil. Kaya, maging balanse. Magpahinga sa screen, magbasa, makipagkwentuhan, magdasal, maging present lagi. Alagaan ang iyong isipan. Kung anong itinatanim sa isipan mo, yun ang lalago.
Pasasaan pa ang kalayaan kung ang mga alipin ngayon ay sila din naman mang-aalipin bukas.
Ibigin mo ang iyong bayan ng sunod kay Bathala sa iyong kapurihan at higit sa lahat sa iyong sarili.
Hindi natin mapapalaya ang ating mga sarili maliban kung sumulong tayo na nagkakaisa sa iisang hangarin.
Ang tunay na makabayan ay ang tumutupad ng pagpapabuti ng kanyang mga kapwa, gaano man kaaba ang kanyang katungkulan. Naway magsilbing paalala ang kanilang mga salita upang lalo nating mahalin at tapat na paglingkuran ang minamahal nating inang bayan.
Every day begins with a choice: to stay down or to rise and chase the dream. For athletes, success is not built overnight. It is shaped in silence long before the crowd arrives.
When you become an athlete in any sport events like boxing, any kind of gymnastics or any kind of triathlon, ganon. You are a runner, you are a marathoner, you are a boxer, you are an Olympic athlete. There's a lot of restrictions compared to a regular person who is not involved in any kind of sports.
Restrictions are not punishment. They are preparation.
For the athlete, it's nothing. It's their lifestyle. For the regular jando outside looking at you, parang naawa sila eh. Yung pagkain mo, puro healthy. It needs a lot of discipline for an athlete in a competition.
The same is true in the spiritual life. The way is not wide. It is not easy. It is narrow.
So, Jesus Christ also mentioned that in a very vivid statement when he said, the way to life is very narrow and very strict and very small.
89 kilograms, please.
What the world calls restriction, the faithful call obedience.
For us, there is no restrictions. That is so restricted enough that we cannot do it. And when it becomes our lifestyle, it's nothing. It's regular for us. Regular for us to be clean-minded, regular for us to be orderly, regular for us to be straightforward. Obedience, commitment, loyalty, dedication, repented in the sight of the Father.
Because this life is a race.
Are we in this life in a competition? Yes, very much. Because Paul said that also. They that run in a race run all, but one receives the prize.
Not everyone who runs wins. Only those who endure.
In order for you to be in a race, you have to be disciplined. So the kingdom nation's citizenship is a disciplined citizenship.
Run the race. Choose the narrow way. Live the disciplined life. Because the prize is eternal.
Ikaw ba ay namomroblema sa taas ng electric bill buwan-buwan? Huwag mag-alala, narito ang ilang paraan upang makatipid sa kuryente. Patayin ang mga ilaw at appliances kapag hindi ginagamit. Sa halip ay gumamit ng natural na liwanag upang makatipid sa kuryente. Tanggalin sa saksakan ang mga appliances kung hindi ginagamit. Iwasan ang paggamit ng maraming appliances ng sabay-sabay. Gumamit ng LED bulbs. Ito ay mas tipid sa kuryente kumpara sa mga incandescent at fluorescent bulbs. Regular na linisin ang mga appliances tulad ng electric fan, aircon vents at refrigerator. Magkaroon ng takdang araw sa isang linggo sa pamamalansya at paglalaba. Gumamit ng energy-efficient appliances. Tandaan, maging wais sa paggamit ng kuryente upang makatipid para mas gumaan ang buhay. Ang paalalang ito ay hatid sa inyo ng SMNI.
And we're back. A prominent expert is accusing the United States and Israel of violating international law for striking Iran, warning that move could destabilize global energy markets and intensify geopolitical tensions. He says the real objective is control of the world's oil supply. Daniela Paulita reports.
Military analyst Song Jongping says the strikes on Iran are less about security and more about energy dominance.
美国、以色列悍然对一个主权国家伊朗发动军事打击，这个本身是违反国际法的。大家可能还记得，就在前段时间，美国已经对委内瑞拉动手了，而且从目前来看，美国已经控制了世界最大的油田——委内瑞拉的油田，是出于石油的控制、石油的垄断。那么，伊朗的石油储备在世界范围内也是很多的。如果美国能够最终控制伊朗的原油开采，控制委内瑞拉的原油开采，这就会让美国未来将会和欧佩克加可以抗衡。
Song warned that the strikes could trigger global energy volatility and force Iran to take drastic countermeasures.
特朗普此举自然会引起国际社会，尤其是能源价格的波动。目前来看，伊朗为了自保，不得不封锁霍尔木兹海峡，甚至封锁曼德海峡，这就会对不少国家的原油供给造成重大的影响，对世界经济也将会造成重大的冲击。这里面其实也包括中国。同时，我们也需要看到一点，就是有不少国家对波斯湾地区的石油、天然气的依赖还是很大的。所以，美国此举的话，是搅动了全球的经济格局。
He added that many countries remain heavily dependent on Persian Gulf energy exports, making the situation particularly sensitive. He also suggested Trump may have domestic political motives, with U.S. midterm elections approaching in November.
特朗普之所以要打伊朗，还有一个重要的原因，就是美国今年面临2个大日子，一个是7月4号独立250周年，特朗普迫切需要政绩。如果真是能解决伊朗问题的话，这就是政绩。还有一个就是今年11月份美国中期选举，如果能够在11月份之前解决伊朗问题，对于共和党来讲将会是加分。所以特朗普此举也想是一石多鸟。
For China, the stakes are particularly high. Song says Beijing sources roughly 40% of its oil and 32% of its natural gas from the Persian Gulf region.
从中国的角度来讲，我们的压力是巨大的，压力山大。刚才你看我提到，欧洲很多国家对波斯湾的能源有严重的依赖，亚洲国家更是如此，尤其是3个亚洲国家中日韩，对波斯湾的原油都依赖油价。你像中国， 我们中国对波斯湾的石油的依赖达到了40%多，我们对波斯湾地区的天然气的依赖达到了32%，这两个比例非常非常的高，所以伊朗封锁霍尔木兹海峡、封锁曼德海峡，对中国的能源安全将会造成重大的影响。
The analysis reflects growing anxiety in Beijing as the conflict expands in the Middle East. Global markets are closely monitoring developments as the arteries of global energy trade come under increasing threat. Reporting for Newsline World, Daniela Paulita, SMNI News.
Trump has threatened to sever oil trade with Spain over NATO spending and taken a swipe at British Prime Minister Keir Starmer as she met with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz at the White House. This report.
Helping us out, you've been very nice.
U.S. President Donald Trump singled out Spain as the only NATO member to refuse the alliance's new 5% defense spending target, noting Madrid doesn't even met the current 2% threshold.
Anything. They wanted to keep it at 2%, and they don't pay the 2%. So we're going to cut off all trade with Spain. We don't want anything to do with Spain.
Trump made the remarks during talks with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz at the White House. He then turned on Britain, taking aim at Prime Minister Keir Starmer over the UK's decision to hand the Chagos Islands back to Mauritius, leasing back the Diego Garcia base shared with the US. Trump said the deal cost American forces critical landing time during recent operations in the region.
And it's taken 3-4 days for us to work out where we can land there. It would have been much more convenient landing there as opposed to flying many extra hours. So we are very surprised. This is not Winston Churchill that we're dealing with.
Starmer reportedly also refused to allow RAF bases to be used for the U.S. strike on Iran last Saturday, a decision that appears to have deepened the rift between the two leaders. That strike, launched jointly with Israel, killed Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Tehran has since responded with strikes on Israeli and U.S. assets across the Gulf region. The Trump-Merz meeting had been expected to focus on EU tariffs following a U.S. Supreme Court ruling against the president's trade policy, but the Iran offensive dominated proceedings. Meanwhile, former U.S. President Bill Clinton has denied any knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein's sexual abuse crimes, telling a congressional committee he never witnessed anything improper during their limited contact. Carla Abellana reports.
Bill Clinton appeared before the House Oversight Committee on Thursday in closed-door testimony, answering questions about his past association with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. He denied ever visiting Epstein's private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands, denied flying on Epstein's plane for improper reasons, and said he never engaged in sexual activity with anyone introduced to him by Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell. Asked directly whether he had known about abuse committed or facilitated by Maxwell, his answer was no.
Though it ended years before his crimes came to light, and though I never witnessed during our limited interactions any indication of what was going on, I'm here to offer what little I know so I can do my part to prevent something like this from happening again.
The committee also pressed the 79-year-old on photographs that surfaced during the deposition, one showing him in a hot tub with an unidentified woman, another of him in a swimming pool alongside Maxwell, and a second unidentified woman. Clinton said both photos were taken at a hotel during a trip to Brunei, where he had traveled at the invitation of the Sultan to discuss the Clinton Foundation's AIDS initiative. He described Epstein at the time as a potential donor to the Clinton Foundation.
I think he played a visit. I was flattered he wanted to see my office. I liked it.
Clinton's testimony comes as U.S. Congress continues its investigation into Epstein's network and those connected to it. Reporting for Newsline World, Carla Abellana, SMNI News.
An oil industry player is calling on Malacanang for a solution to the looming massive oil price hikes caused by the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. MJ Moniha reports.
Gasoline, diesel, and kerosene prices have increased by over a peso per liter this week amid the tensions in the Middle East. However, the struggle of ordinary Filipinos does not end there. Despite having no involvement in the Iran-Israel-US conflict, diesel prices could potentially soar by 10 pesos, while gasoline could increase by 5 pesos. This is based on Singapore MOPS Trading, which serves as the price guide for oil products in Asia. According to an oil industry player, the routes of tankers delivering oil to the country are affected because of Iran.
Yung mga barko na nagdadala ng langis sa atin ay dumadaan sa jurisdiksyon ng Strait of Hormuz, which is kontrolado ng Iran. At ngayon nasarado yan, so mahaba ang nagiging ikot ng mga barko, which will have an effect on fuel cost.
Aside from expensive importation costs, various taxes imposed on fuel further drive up pump prices.
There is a fixed excise tax na ipinapataw sa diesel at sa gasolina. Ang excise tax sa gasolina ay 10 piso kada litro. Ang excise tax sa diesel ay 6 na piso kada litro. Isipin mo, dagdag presyo yan. Pero sabi ko nga, ang pinakamasakit dyan, yung 12% VAT na pinapataw.
Suntay asserted that VAT continues to grow as oil prices rise in the world market.
Dahil yung 12% VAT would be based doon sa artificially high prices ng fuel. So ibig sabihin, maghihirap pa yung Pilipino dahil na tumaas yung presyo ng gasolina at krudo, tapos noon papatawan ng 12% VAT ng ating gobyerno, ay sus, ang laki ng implikasyon yan.
To alleviate the crisis, Suntay requested the DOE or the Department of Energy and even to Malacanang to temporarily suspend the collection of VAT.
Ang suggestion ko nga, sabi ko, Sec Sharon, sana makumbinsi mo yung Malacanang na during these trying times, during these challenging times, makumbinsi niya ang Malacanang, makumbinsi niya ang Department of Finance na isuspende muna ang pagpataw ng VAT dito sa diesel at gasolina.
In response, Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. stated that he will consult with congressional leaders. The goal is to be granted authority to reduce the excise tax on petroleum products once the price of Dubai crude exceeds to $80 per barrel. According to the president, this will only be a temporary measure while the conflict in the Middle East persists. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been MJ Mondeha, SMNI News.
When we return, the Philippine Senate vows strict oversight of the record education budget. Lawmakers demanded concrete results and clear action plans, promising no funds would go to waste. And the Middle East conflict hits professional sports. An ATP challenger in the UAE was cancelled after drone strikes near oil refineries sparked a massive fire, forcing organizers to scrap the event for safety. More news after the break.
Isang pindot lang, pwede kang maka-jackpot. Mukhang masaya at easy money lang. Sa murang halaga, pwede ka na tumaya sa online gambling at e-casino apps. Mayroong sabong, slot machines, mahjong, poker at iba pa. Kailangan mo lang ng smartphone, e-wallet at internet. Pero ang aliw na ito, unti-unting nagiging bitag para sa mga Pilipino. Lalo na kung ang paborito mong artista o influencer ang mukha ng app. Mas madaling makaengganyo, diba? Parang safe naman kasi may kilalang mukha. Pero sa likod ng ngiti, sugal pa rin ang itinutulak. At syempre, mas madali ring itago ang pagkalulong sa bisyong ito. Walang pisikal na kasino o pasugalan, walang kaharap, walang accountability, kaya't mas lumalala ang adiksyon. Dagdag pa rito, maraming online gambling apps at walang regulasyon. Sa likod ng mga makukulay na interface at papremyo, nakatago ang problemang bumabalot ngayon sa bansa. Ang pagkalulong ng maraming Pilipino sa online gambling. Pwede maglaro kahit saan, kahit kailan, kahit sino, bata man o matanda, pwedeng malulong. Ayon sa mga eksperto, ang pagkakalulong sa online gambling ay nagdudulot ng matinding stress at anxiety, pagkakabaon sa utang, pagkawasak ng pamilya, pagkawala ng tiwala sa sarili. At tulad ng ibang bisyo, may mga senyales ito tulad ng hindi makapagpigil kahit walang pera, palihim na tumataya, pagpapabaya sa trabaho, pamilya o sarili. Sa bawat taya, may mga taong tunay na kumikita, mga malalaking negosyante at investors na negosyo ang bisyo ng masa. Para sa kanila, perang pumapasok lang ito, pero para sa ordinaryong Pilipino, kabuhayan at relasyon ang nauubos. At ang masakit, tila matagal itong nahayaan. Hindi ito naging prioridad ng mga nakaupo sa taas hanggang sa sobrang lumala at halos naapektuhan na ang buong komunidad. Ngayon, sa dami ng nalulung at sa laki ng pinsalang naidulot, sa kapalalong umugong ang mga panukalang batas para higpitan ng online gambling, gaya ng pagbabawal sa paggamit ng e-wallets para tumaya, pagtaas ng minimum bet, mas mahigpit na identity verification, pag-block ng mga illegal na gambling sites, at bawasan o ipagbawal ang mga ads na target ang kabataan. Maaari itong magmukhang laro lang, pero sa katotohanan, isa itong sugal sa kinabukasan. Ang kita na dapat sa mga pangunahing pangangailangan o ipon na uubos sa sugal. At sa mundo ng online gambling, mas madali kang matalo kaysa manalo. Huwag hayaang sugal ang magdikta sa iyong buhay. Isang paalala mula sa SMNI.
And we're back. Senator Rodante Marcoleta fired back at Senate President Pro Tempore Ping Lacson over the issue of the Kalayaan Island Group. The senator denounced what he described as cheap fakes and edited videos allegedly used against him. Sheena Turner reports.
In his privileged speech during Tuesday's Senate session, Senator Rodante Marcoleta once again focused on the issue of the Kalayaan Island Group. This followed the circulation of an allegedly spliced video recently posted on the social media account of Senator Pro Tempore Ping Lacson.
Patayan natin dito for something that is not even within our EEC. Ang gawin natin po para madali, i-give up natin yung KIG.
Ang nag-govern pa rin yung international law. So atin yung Kalayaan Island Group.
We call now on Captain Jess B. Pilar, Philippine Navy, the most senior among the officers now under consideration.
Meron po tayong mga isla na occupied natin ngayon. Ito yung Kalayaan Island Group. Ngunit, they are way beyond our EEC. Wala doon sa limit ng ating exclusive economic zone.
Being a member of the armed forces, our seas, our rights, and our future. And we just stick to what is legally ours, what is stated in our law, sir. I'd like to congratulate you for responding very well to the questions of the Honorable Marcoleta.
Marcoleta rejected what called cheap fakes and edited videos that allegedly made it appear that he wanted to surrender the KIG, which is part of the Philippine territory.
Mr. President, being one of the neophyte senators in this august chamber, I brought not only my passion to serve our countrymen, but also my hard-earned integrity as a public servant. I know for a fact that government officials should not be onion-skinned. At tunay naman pong isinabuhay ko ng maging matibay ang loob ko. Dahil sa ilang dekada ko nang nasa serbisyo, talaga naman pong samut-saring batikos at pangungutya na rin ang aking natanggap. Mr. President, criticisms per se are understandable, but intentional distortion of statements is clearly unacceptable.
He further alleged that Lacson deliberately designed the video to divert from the true context of his statements. However, Marcoleta clarified that he never intended to surrender the KIG, but merely sought to clarify the country's exclusive economic zone coverage. Marcoleta also questioned Lacson's intentions, asking why his statements allegedly had to be twisted to make him appear wrong.
Ang ganitong pag-edit at hindi simpleng pagkakamali lamang, bagkos isa pong buktot na planadong pagkilos sa Ginoong Pangulo. Kahit pa marunong akong mag-splice o mag-edit, kailanman ay hindi ko ituturo kung ito ay gagamitin sa kamalian na magdudulot ng kalituhan o kapahamakan sa aking kapwa. Ang sabi nga niya, ang tama ay ipaglaban, ang mali ay labanan. From his own words, his own slogan, his own political battle cry.
Marcoleta maintained that he will never surrender any Philippine territory. He stressed that his intention was to discuss legislation in pursuit of national interest.
Ang katotohanan ay mananaig at ang taong bayan ay may karapatang malaman ang buong katotohanan. Walang dagdag, walang bawas, walang panlilinlang.
As of this time, Senator Lacson has yet to issue a statement regarding Marcoleta's remarks delivered Tuesday. For God and for my beloved Philippines, this has been Sheena Torno, SMNI News.
The Senate is ensuring that the largest budget ever allocated in history for the education sector will not go to waste, stressing that every peso spent by the government agencies must be backed by clear plans and concrete results. Jonas Santos reports.
Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, chairman of the Committee on Finance, vowed to closely monitor the spending of funds allocated to the education sector. Under the 2026 General Appropriations Act, 1.3 trillion has been allotted for education, equivalent to 4.4% of the country's gross domestic product or GDP. The 1.3 trillion budget covers key agencies such as the Department of Education, the Commission on Higher Education, state universities and colleges, and the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority. Gatchalian emphasized that increasing the budget alone is not enough, but how these agencies will utilize the funds is what truly matters.
When I say spending, spending is not only the act of spending, but also the planning how to spend. No, you don't spend. You don't plan when you receive the money. You plan even before you receive the actual cash amount. So that's what we also want to understand, the planning process on spending these amounts.
The senator particularly scrutinized the DepEd budget for the construction and repair of classrooms, which amounts to nearly 75 billion pesos. Based on DepEd records, the agency is targeting 24,237 new classrooms this year under the 2026 budget. However, according to the senator, DepEd has a history of slow classroom construction.
Historically, we have a poor track record of building classrooms. Yung 75 billion for construction and repair, napakalaking awayan at bate because of this track record. Maraming legislators are not in favor for increasing the budget if we cannot spend it.
Because of this, he is requiring DepEd to submit a concrete plan and a list of locations where classroom construction will begin.
We have to, at one point, fix the problem of implementation. It's not a problem now of budget, it's a problem of implementation looking at the track record.
Reporting for Newsline World, Jonas Santos, SMNI News.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. welcomed the signing of 10 new agreements between the Philippines and the Republic of Korea during the state visit of Lee Jae-myung at Malacanang Palace on Tuesday. Kreslin Katarong reports.
Republic of Korea President Lee Jae-myung, accompanied by his wife, First Lady Kim Hee-kyung, is in the country for a 2-day state visit. Lee kicked off his visit to the country by laying a wreath at the monument to the Philippine national hero, Dr. Jose P. Rizal, at Rizal Park.
It is the first time that President Lee has come to the Philippines as president, and I am very pleased that he has accepted my invitation for a state visit. It follows our meeting in Gyeongju on the sidelines of the APEC summit last October 2025.
During a ceremony in Malacanang on March 3, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and President Lee witnessed the exchange of signed agreements between the Philippine officials and their counterparts. Speaking at a joint press conference, Marcos said the newly signed 10 Memoranda of Understandings or MOUs cover key areas such as defense procurement, veterans affairs, agriculture, trade and investment, intellectual property, digital cooperation, innovation, Korean language education, cultural exchange, and police collaboration. He emphasized that these agreements between the Philippines and the Republic of Korea will strengthen and sustain the growing strategic partnership of the two nations in the years ahead. President Lee's visit coincides with a commemoration of the 77th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the Philippines and the Republic of Korea, which was elevated to a strategic partnership in 2024. Moreover, President Marcos Jr. hosted a state banquet in honor of President Lee and First Lady Kim, marking the continued strengthening of the friendship and strategic partnership between the two countries. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Creseling Tatarong, SMNI News.
Nat Seaver Berg hopes England can deliver a defining Euros moment when they host the ICC Women's T20 World Cup this summer. Meanwhile, an ATP Challenger tennis tournament in Fujairah, United Arab Emirates was cancelled after drone strikes nearby oil refineries sparked a fire and raised safety concerns for players. Here's Carlo de la Peña for the update.
Speaking at Edgbaston to mark 100 days before the tournament, Seaver Bront said England want to replicate the impact created by the England women's national football team when they won the UEFA European Championship on home soil in 2022. England have a strong record as hosts, winning all 4 Women's World Cup stage at home, including the 50-over title in 2017. The expanded 12-team tournament begins on June 12 with 33 matches across 7 venues and the final set for July 5 at Lord's Cricket Ground. More than 115,000 tickets have already been sold, with organizers targeting a total attendance of 270,000, more than double the record set in Australia in 2020. Tournament director Beth Barrett-Wild confirmed India will play their semi-final on June 30 at the Oval if they qualify, with scheduling designed to maximize Indian television audiences, a move that has raised competitive fairness questions. Preparations have been affected by global tensions after England's planned training camp in Abu Dhabi was cancelled due to the US-Israel conflict involving Iran, prompting the team to seek alternative venues. Fast bowler Lauren Filer, who has not played competitively since last summer, has used the break to remodel her run-up in pursuit of greater pace, targeting the ADMPH benchmark regarded as elite speed in the women's game. This match was abruptly halted after debris from intercepted drones caused a fire about 15 kilometers from the tournament site. The ATP said player safety was the top priority and accommodations are being provided while travel arrangements are reviewed. A second challenger event scheduled next week in Fujairah was also cancelled. Video on social media showed players scrambling for shelter, including Belarusian Daniil Ostapenkov and Japan's Hayato Matsuoka. Ukrainian player Vladislav Orlov described smoke and jets near the mountains, making it unsafe to continue. Other sports have also been affected by the escalating Middle East conflict. The Qatar World Endurance Championship opener was postponed, AFC club matches delayed, the EuroLeague U18 tournament in Abu Dhabi abandoned, and the England Lions cricket team returned home after their series against Pakistan Shaheens was cancelled. The UAE has reported over 800 drones and 200 missile attacks since Saturday following a strike on Tehran by US and Israeli forces that killed Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and other officials. Iran has retaliated with missile and drone attacks on Israel, US bases, and neighboring Gulf countries. Reporting for Newsline World, this has been Carlo de la Peña bringing you the latest sports news.
Kelly Osbourne has opened up about the online harassment she has faced, describing the attacks on her appearance as a special kind of cruelty during what she calls the hardest period of her life. Meanwhile, actress Alice Kingston has revealed that she almost overlooked early symptoms of uterine cancer, initially attributing bloating and weight gain to aging. Sigrid Castañeda has the latest box.
TV personality Kelly Osbourne took to Instagram stories to address the negativity just hours after accepting a Lifetime Achievement Award on behalf of her late father Ozzy Osbourne at the 2026 Brit Awards in Manchester. On March 1, Kelly wrote, "There is a special kind of cruelty in harming someone who is clearly going through something, kicking me while I'm down, doubting my pain, spreading my struggles as gossip and turning your back when I need support and love most." The celebrity added that the online attacks have been particularly hurtful at a time when she's navigating personal challenges, highlighting the emotional toll social media negativity can take on public figures. Kelly Osbourne's candid message serves as a reminder of the real human impact behind online trolling and the importance of empathy in digital spaces. The 62-year-old star, best known for her roles in Doctor Who and ER, was diagnosed with uterine cancer in May of last year. She subsequently underwent a hysterectomy followed by irradiation therapy. Kingston urged others to pay close attention to their bodies and not dismiss unusual symptoms, emphasizing the importance of early detection and improving outcomes. Her candid disclosure highlights the need for awareness of uterine cancer symptoms, particularly for women in midlife and beyond. And that's all for now. This is Sigrid Castañeda bringing you the latest showbiz.
A remarkable 10-year journey of environmental passion captured the hearts of many as Wayne Dixon and his loyal dog Coda traversed thousands of miles along the British coastline, cleaning up litter and raising awareness about the devastating impact of trash on the environment. Although Coda passed away last year, their efforts continued to inspire many. Stella Marie says the story.
This man and his loyal companion used to travel thousands of miles along Britain's scenic coastline. Wayne Dixon, a former support worker from Darwin, Lancashire, and his dog Goda, a northern Inuit breed, spent a decade on an inspiring journey that spanned 4,000 miles. Their mission was simple: to raise awareness about the dangers of littering while making a tangible difference in the environment. They walked the rugged coastline, collecting trash and inspiring others to take action in their own communities. The journey started in a moment of profound personal grief. In 2021, after the sudden passing of his father, Wayne found himself taking care of Coda, his father's beloved dog. With a deep need to honor his father's memory and channel his grief into something positive, Wayne decided to embark on a journey that would also give Coda a sense of purpose. The idea of walking the coast, clearing up litter, scratched a personal itch Wayne had long felt, a desire to connect with nature, heal, and give back to the environment. Over the course of 10 years, Wayne and Coda walked hundreds of miles across beaches, cliffs, and remote coastal villages, spending hours collecting plastic, metal, and other waste that had been left behind. Their efforts sparked local initiatives, united community groups, and inspired individuals to take responsibility for the places they call home. However, the pandemic interrupted their travels, and Wayne and Coda returned to Darwin, Lancashire in 2020. Yet, even as their walks came to stop, the duo's message resonated widely and their actions left a lasting impact. Coda passed away in 2025, but the legacy of his and Wayne's work lives on. The partnership between Wayne and Coda became more than just a litter-picking effort. It became a mission to protect nature for future generations. This has been Stella Maris, your citizen correspondent, reporting for Newsline World.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the song. Losing begin in the mind, and your mind is the womb of your faith. And that's all for this edition of Newsline World. For God in my beloved country, the Philippines, I'm Prince Tripoli. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
This is SMNI News Channel.
truth that matters.